Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for being here. It's another fun day for ABC April 2025, and uh, I had so many ideas, but there's other things in life that kept getting in the way. So I've got some gaps here, but you can see this is where I've been. Um, I'm making this one for sewing for the S Day, and sewing was on our prompt list. And you can see that I had ideas. I've got all kinds of little extra things in here. So these are all things I plan on doing in upcoming videos because I think it's just so cool having a list like this and it's just such a great prompt list. It's wonderful. I was going to do P, but other life things came and it was like, okay, I can't do P. So I've been focusing on sewing. And I'm going to have to make a whole playlist on sewing journal covers because every single one I've done differently, and I've got ideas for two or three more different ways of sewing a journal cover. This one took on a life of its own. So I'm going to show how I sewed this in this video, and it just the fabric told me what I needed to do. And that happens, that we're working with different fabrics, and this one it was a loose weave upholstery fabric that just lent itself to fraying. And I wound up being able to sew it so easily. This was such an easy cover to sew. I thought I was going to do a kind of a pillowcase style, but instead, well, you'll have to watch and see because it was unexpected. And I set up the camera so that I could film the sewing machine itself for the first time. I haven't been able to do that before, but I got a new arm to hold the phone. And so this is an exciting video for me because I did something brand new. I had this cool fabric that came out so nice. It's a beautiful cover. I've already been working on what's going to go inside, which is an S for signature. So I'm working on making the next video as soon as I finish with this one. And obviously, I'm doing this a couple days before Tuesday, which is the S day. So here we go. This is what I did. It's got a pocket. It's fun. It's got lots of texture. And well, what can I say? Just I hope that you enjoyed. If you're interested in sewing, if you're not interested in sewing at all, okay, you can skip this one. But if you're interested in maybe adding a little sewing, this particular design of the way I sewed, I could take this in another direction with a journal cover. So I just now I've got lots of ideas because of this fabric and this journal cover. And when I was fraying, I wound up with lots of threads that I'm going to work with somehow. If not in here, it's going to work elsewhere because they're gorgeous. Look at those colors. It's just wonderful. Anyway, on with the show, as they said. Let me show you how I made this. Let's talk about materials for a quick minute. First of all, cardboard. The kind of cardboard I don't like to use for covers is corrugated. You can see that it has that lines in it. And the reason I don't like it is because it can bend quite easily. It's stable this way, but it's not stable this way. So I prefer not to use that, and I have not used that. Now, the cardboard you get from the back of lined paper pads is very sturdy most of the time, not all of them. And this one was this is a mat was for a back of a picture, but it's an actual piece of mat, so it's quite strong. So matting is a good material. I was thinking of doing this journal with this box. This is some crackers, but this is even a little lighter weight than cereal boxes. It's very lightweight, very flexible, and the fabric is flexible enough. It doesn't, it needs some support. So for this particular journal, I'm not going to be using the buckram, the super strong interfacing that I have sometimes used. So I have decided I am not going to use the cracker box. What I am going to use are these two pieces of very stiff. cardboard. And these are a little bit different weight, but that's okay because I'm going to put the mat board for the back cover, and this one is almost the same weight, and I'm going to use that for the front cover. And it's going to work out great. Now, on the material, I found this material at a yard sale, and it is so fun that, I got it last year, and I was going like, well, this is really cool, and there's the right amount here to make a journal cover. And I didn't know how I was going to do it or anything like that. And then yesterday, I went to a local thrift store and I found this paper pad, and it's got zebra, it's got ethnic design. It's cool. It's really cool, and it's got all the animals. And let's see what else. There's elephant. There, this is all this leafy stuff. There's a good leafy page. Oh, here's the leopard and giraffe and butterflies got in there somehow. So I was really I saw this and I was looking for fabric to do these sewing demonstrations, and I just got that, and I found that in my stash and went, there we go. All right. So I'm just going to use normal thread. I'll just use brown or black. I'm going to set up the camera in the sewing room with the sewing machine, which is something I have not done before. And I'll show you how I'm going to cut this out. So let me cut the cardboard, and then we'll cut the fabric, and then we will go sew. All right, I've cut out my structure boards. This is the mat board, and I'm going to do some different things with this journal, things I haven't done before. So I made two of the spine strips, and these are 1.5 inches. I'm going to make this journal, and this journal is a little bit shorter. This is 7.5 inches, and this is 6 inches wide, so a little bit different proportion. Now, this particular fabric, it has these lines running through it, and that helps me straighten the board. The main thing that I'm going for here is I was looking for where the zebra's face is, and I want to get kind of close over here to the front edge, which will be the opening side of the journal. So if I look at it that way and I look at it that way, and I can kind of see where that zebra is going to line up just by twisting and turning this board and go like, well, I like where that is. So I'm lining it up with these lines. I'm getting rid of that extra one. I plan on using the elastic for the signatures for this one, not sewing it. I'm going to do the elastic. I haven't done that before. And I think it'll work nicely for what I have in mind. I have some different things I'm going to do in this journal that I haven't done before. So over on this far end, I want to make sure that this is also straight so that I've got that all the way across. Now, if you don't have a material, most of the time you're not going to have a fabric that has some lines on this. So it's really good to have a ruler that you can put down below and make sure that everything is absolutely straight. We want that. So if we can press those down. I'm leaving just a teeny little gap here, and that's for the flexion of the spine with the covers. So now holding this down firmly, this is a common chalk, just a plain old piece of white chalk. So I'm just going to glide along the edge here. I think this is going to work. And this is where we're going to get to what I'm doing that's different. So I'm on the right side of the fabric. Normally I'd be doing this on the wrong side, but stick with me here. I'm doing something different. I'm extending that line. So I am creating the stitching lines. Take that away for a minute. And chalk is great because it'll dust right off, but mostly you're not even going to see this because it's going to be is going to disappear. But yes, it's going to dust right off. So for the moment, I want to move that. So I'm just going to keep going here. Now, usually those of us who sew, we have a piece of dressmaker's chalk and it's very pointy. You can sharpen chalk. Take a piece of sandpaper and you can make it nice and pointy. But I'm very satisfied with this for myself. So now, if I needed to, I could dust all this off and I could move it around. So this is a great way of figuring out where where you're going to have your cover. So this is going to be the front of the journal. This nice zebra face. This will be the back. And, I think I'm just going to be leaving the front this way, but I'm going to do something different. And that's why I am chalking it on the front, because instead of seaming it and hiding the seams inside, this fabric has wonderful warp threads to create a marvelous fringe. So I'm going to fringe all around the outside when I stitch these two sides, the inside and the outside cover together. So I think this is going to be really cool to have that fringe all the way around. That's going to be pretty, and it's going to be double. So it'll be, it's going to be twice that thick. It's going to be really nice. At least it is in my mind. All right. So what I want to do now, and this is such a nice pattern. I am going to cut for the pattern. I'm not going to cut for trying to get two journals out of it, for example. I mean, I got it at a yard sale. I paid a couple of bucks for it. So I'm going to really just enjoy the pattern. Let me see here. Okay. So now I know where my stitching lines are going to be inside these chalk lines. And I'm going to allow plenty of extra because after I've sewn everything together, then I can trim it down and fray the edges and make sure that it's the look I want. So I'm going to go plenty wide. Normally I do 5/8 inch, which is a standard seam, but I'm just going to go ahead and cut it big and I will trim it down later. It always makes me nervous cutting into fabric because it was like, you only get one shot at it. You can take more off, but you can't add more on. So I'm just going for it here. And the closure I'm going to be stitching into the seam. I've already thought about that. I'm going to have some fabric going through the seam and it'll be tied on the outside, or I'm still kind of playing with a couple of ideas. All right, so there is the front. Now for the back, I have a couple of choices here. Let me set that aside. I don't want to mess up my chalk. I need that chalk line. So for the back, I need two pieces for the back because I'm going to leave an opening in the back, and that's the part that will be fun to see. So basically, I'm going to be making a pillow cover with an opening on the inside. And there's a lot of like pillow shams and extra pillow covers where you tuck the pillow in and there's always an opening in the back. We're not going to be leaving an opening, but we are going to be having that opening in the spine area. So who do I want to have on the inside front cover? And it doesn't matter here, but it's important to know which direction you're going. So if this is the inside front cover, the seam is going to go this way. The spine is going to be this way. So, but I still have to get everybody in there. Well, the inside back cover, maybe I could even use this fringe. But this is the part where you want to just kind of move around and look at things. I like that face. I think that would be nice on the inside front cover. So if I do that, no, remember I got to leave a big seam. So, oh, that'll work because then I'll have some room down at the bottom. So I think that's what I want to do. And this will be the spine over here. So I'm just thinking it through. I do this with every kind of sewing that I do. I always just kind of like, take a breath, take your time. So now if that is, okay, that's the inside front cover, and that's the spine. So now we want the inside back cover. Well, I don't have enough clearance here to do that. So maybe, no, because I need to have, that's going to be wide, that's going to be short. Yeah, I don't have enough here, so I've got to do it down here. So inside, it's going to go this way. I think I'll just kind of go with, yeah, yeah, because again, this is the spines, because this is the inside back cover. So we're looking at the inside of the journal right now. Okay, I'll chalk that up. Well, you could see kind of that I was thinking, and I really I like the idea of the inside back cover having a little bit of this face in there. I mean, there's only so much fabric that I can play with, but I like that face. So I think I'm just going to manage. So let me cut this out. I'm just going to go for it. I'm just going to cut it out. So that's the inside front. So if we see it this way, this is on the outside. Oh, I do have that nice face. That's on the inside. And then this is the outside back, and this would be the inside back. I think I can make it work. It's a little bit skinny here, but I don't need a lot. Okay, I decided that I was being, I was lowering it down more than I need to. So see, I'm just taking this scruffy old paintbrush and I'm just scrubbing that chalk off. And there it goes. I am moving this up so that I've got a nice margin here and a nice seam allowance on both sides and the same seam allowance there. And I think that's going to make me happier. That's what we want. We want to, that's what's lovely about chalk. I mean, it's like you can really you can really map out what you're doing. And the other thing I want to make sure that I remember is, of course, I need that over there. Yeah, and I did allow making sure that I remember because I'm not too worried about the spine. It's most important what's going on for the inside front cover and the inside back cover. But yeah, I definitely have a seam allowance here and I have seam allowance over here. So the next stage really is cutting out and pinning it together and being very, very accurate with the pinning. So let us move on. Okay. I hope you don't mind, but I'm adding one more element that I, you know, I kind of, when I'm making journals, I let it evolve. So it could be frustrating sometimes for somebody who's trying to watch a video and learn what I'm doing to keep track. Um, because I like changing things. So anyway, I'm going to use this fabric tack, and what this is it's some a really nice the inside of a quilt. It's not thick. It's very fine, but it just adds just that little touch of luxury, I guess is what you would say. So I'm going to use the fabric tack, which dries really, really fast, because I didn't plan on gluing the fabric to the cardboard. But because I'm not doing that, I want to add some, I want to add a little cush to it. Otherwise, it was going to be very hard. Also, I can't spread the fabric tack. It dries too fast. So all I can do is scrub it on, which is what I'm doing over here off to the side, is just scrubbing it on. And you can kind of see what I've got there. So it doesn't have to be perfect because this layer is going to be underneath. Okay, I was originally thinking of rolling this around to the back, the inside of the cover, which actually at this point you can see how, okay, there's the inside front cover and the back cover. Okay, no, the other way around, please. This is the back cover. This is the front cover. I'll keep it straight. Anyway, I was thinking about rolling this around, but then it creates a little bit of a lump, and then I remembered I'm going to have fringe out here, so I'm just going to cut this off completely. But this is one of the things about well, any kind of journal making. We're always, if we're making something that we haven't made before, there's all sorts of decisions. So I'm just cutting it, just not spot on, not exact to the cardboard. Just I'm leaving a 1/16 there or so, the width of the scissor blades. So then when the fringe is over it, that will be a nice edge for the cover. Okay, that solves that problem. I was, I didn't want to get ahead of myself and then forget a step. So this is nice. This is going to create a little bit of cush underneath the fabric, which is doesn't have it doesn't have any cushion to it. Okay, I gotta kind of laugh at myself because when I was gonna make this video, I was gonna make, oh, I'm just gonna make a very simple pillow slip kind of cover, and it's gonna be so simple and easy to follow. And here I am getting very complex. I can't help myself. I promised to do a pillow slip cover in a future video. But this is turning into a really cool project, and I just want to keep going with it. So, um, I promise I'll do a simple, simple pillow slip, because now what I've realized is I lined up the boards underneath the cover, what's going to be the cover, so that I could feel them. I can feel them edge to edge and go like, okay, I'm real happy with that placement. Okay, that's good. So now I'm turning it over. I've got them where I want them. And so then I was thinking on the inside cover, and I'm going like, okay, I want to line those up. And I hope this is making sense. So I'm just feeling for the board underneath and getting it lined up. And so that's where the gutter is. And I'm doing something very unconventional. Normally, I would turn this under and hem it, and we would have some overlap, but instead, I'm really going to go with this fringe idea. I think this fringe thing is going to look absolutely awesome. So I'm leaving, instead of making a pillow slip and slipping the cover cardboards inside, which is what I would do if I was sewing it in the conventional manner. But I'm not sewing it in the conventional manner. I am actually just going to pin this fabric around the covers, the cover boards. And when I go to my sewing machine, I'm going to use the the needle way off to the side and just let that zipper foot, the presser foot of the sewing machine ride along the outer edge of the board underneath. So it's not going to so there's going to be a little bit of wiggle room, so to speak. But the thing is, I've got those that little bit of fabric underneath, that little extra um, the quilt batting. That's what it's called. I've got that underneath the front cover. It's on the other side, and it's going to create a non-slip situation. Also, I plan on stitching into the gutter here. Now, I might have to do that by hand. I might have to do that by hand, and I'm okay with that. So this way, okay, so if that's the cover, and I have to think this through when I'm doing something very different from what I've done before. So in this case, this is not going to be exposed. This is going to be covered up. So I don't need that extra bulk so much in here. Or maybe I just need to leave it. That's going to go in here. And that's going to be behind this inside cover. So I think what I will do is I'm just going to trim off just a little bit more. I don't need that much bulk. Okay. So now again, I'm just feeling the board underneath so I can line it up. Okay. I did a lot of, I made costumes for 20 years. I was involved with a dance group, and some of the dancers were not sewers. And so that was a wonderful hobby, you know. It was something that had nothing to do with my day job, and it was wonderful fun. Just a group of us women having a good time, the camaraderie and doing that together was so much fun. Anyway, so I helped design costumes and also sew costumes for a few of the gals in the troupe. And you know, it was sometimes you were designing the costume on a person's body because it needed to fit well. So I come from that background. I come from that background of really kind of winging it, just doing the just doing it on the fly, you know? It's just kind of like, well, let's figure this out. How do we want this costume to look? We even did some pattern making and stuff. The troupe director was just an awesome choreographer. She was absolutely amazing. So now this next decision here, I think this is fine. I think this is going to be fine. Okay. And there's the spine on the inside. So I'm really happy with that. This is a strong spine. And so what I'm going to do is go to the sewing machine. I got to set up the camera for that. But I have the boards inside. So instead of sewing this and then slipping the boards in, the boards are already inside, and I'm going to be doing this fringy stuff. So here, here is the cover, and I did have to hand sew into the the spine area. I did try it with the sewing machine, but there's too much distance for the yeah, for it to catch properly. So, but that's fine. I just did a little in and out, very short running stitch, nothing fancy, and that worked well. It worked just great, so no problem. And there's the two lines of stitching. There's the straight stitch, and then there's the little, it's a little kind of a zigzag with a back stitch sort of in it so that it really locks down the threads. So even though I didn't fray it all the way to the threads, a little more fraying is going to happen it very easily. So it's a loose weave, and I didn't want to bore you with it took a while. It took a while to get all of the little threads out. So that one, so it really, it's still it's fully intact and everything like that. So this is the front and the back. I love it. I think it's just gorgeous. I and there's your two layers here. And I did sneak in a pocket. And what I did with that was I stitched a flap of the fabric to this side before stitching all the way around. So this was still completely loose. So I just ran a line of stitching, and then that just became part of this outer seam area. It worked out just fine. And we've got the two layers all the way around, and there's three layers in this pocket area. I love it. I think it's just gorgeous. And there's plenty of room in here. And this is all very firm. I decided not to sew in some kind of a closure. I have a couple of ideas. So you will see that, when I go through the flip through. So the next stage is making signatures. And, I have leftover fabric. There must be something, there's something I'm going to be able to do to add a little more fun stuff inside with the leftover fabric. I kept all the bits and pieces. So I don't know. I mean, obviously little tops for tags. So we shall see what happens there. And I have all this fun safari paper, and I have a few other things. I started folding and thinking about it, and I watched a couple of videos too. I went back to Margaret's channel and looked for something, the flip-flop kind of page thing, and that's the fabulous thing is if you've got sort of an idea, and I started playing with some sketches again. And so I have definitely some fun ideas already I'm working on for which one of these pages I'm going to use and how I'm going to use them. So I'm just going to keep going with that now. This video, I think, is plenty long enough for a bit of a sewing kind of a idea. The thing is I was stitching on the inside of the cover, and literally the presser foot just rode. I just kept it riding along the edge of the cardboard inside. It was super easy. So the only time-consuming thing was hand stitching through here, I suppose, and fraying. That took quite a bit of time. I do have a considerable amount of threads from all the fraying, but there's so many gorgeous colors in there that I'm going to figure out how to incorporate that somehow inside. I've seen it done. So this journal is taking on a different kind of life, a different thing than I have ever done before. And I love that. I absolutely love that, is that, each one is its own unique creation. I have done multiple journals that were basically the same. So, that is one way of doing it. But I can't help myself. Um, when you get into this creativity, it just things happen, and that's what happened with this journal. So I do promise to make more sewing videos, and there's lots and lots of different ways, and you can see sewing of covers in some of my previous. So, and so there it is. Thank you so much for watching. I hope if you have any interest in sewing at all, this was informative. It was certainly, it certainly took its own route, as it were. So I'm going to go on and hopefully I can get signature done for the S Day. So that'll be two videos in released on one day, and why not, right? So anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Bye for now.